I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahamaland to the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Foundation. Grateful to be here with you. Always grateful to be in your company. It is the month of March. I hope you guys are good. I hope you go there jamming and doing what you got to do. We are almost out of the first quarter of the year, and it has been a hell of a year so far. Not necessarily from being able to identify it from what we have normally been able to see from a local standpoint and watching those particular murder numbers. And I don't know why we're leading with this sort of a negativity, but this is what happens. Talk to me, I can't get no amen. This sort of an idea of being able to see the country move in a particular manner, in a particular direction, simply because of a murder count climbing. Well, the murder count doesn't necessarily belong to us, but there has been a murder count relentlessly climbing into the thousands. I got one report indicating that is some 12,000 persons would have passed away as a result of the bombing on Iran, right? It's a lot going on. And Trump is unapologetic in his posture and being able to say that this is where he is and this is where he's going. Today we're going to get into it and talk about the implications that could exist in this particular space. I want to be able to see if we can expand that conversation a little bit further and find someone who is willing, able, and capable of being able to have that conversation with me possibly later on this evening. Haven't found those persons just yet, so you got to forgive me and so we continue to do those things, right? I'm grateful to be here with you guys. Always grateful to talk with you from a national standpoint, to talk about where we are for growth and development, to talk about where we are as a nation, to talk about where we are, and really being able to give some introspection, or at least present an environment rich, ready, and ripe for introspection, for you to be able to understand where we are, and really being able to deduce as to whether or not we're moving in the right direction. I'm grateful to be here with you. It's a beautiful day, guys. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you want to be able to hit me up and say yay is yay or nay is nay. Or nay or yay, depending on your position. Give me a call, 827-0111, 827-0111. We are here. We have some great news. We got some movement. Yeah, man, things have been stalled just for 2 seconds, but we got some movement. And we're grateful to be able to have that. And those things that we've anticipated for our Space Foundation Radio 89.5 FM, those things that we have anticipated take a little longer than we expected, but it's here. We're making significant steps towards doing that. And we just want to do it in formality. We don't want to do it sort of out of our trunk type situation. Maybe a small operation, but it's going to be a proper operation. That's what it is. It may be a small operation, but it's going to be a proper operation. And you wouldn't know the difference when you listen to the big sound that's coming out of our space. That's all we into. And so we're going to be able to give you that kind of a thing. And we're working on that and making these things happen. Remember, we don't have the support of a great deal of long dollars, We just have that kind of a long ambition, that determination, that conviction, that kind of an insight, that drive, and that push to be able to make it happen. And as a result of that, everything else is falling in place. And so we're grateful to that and grateful to God for those particular things. All right. Guys, please join me in conversation today. There's a lot of things happening right now. And I want to be able to talk to you about that. Rupert Roberts is smiling. He gives a thumbs up as he continues to be able to recover in a hospital with his wife, Margaret, at his side. This is in the papers today, guys. You can pick up the papers and see exactly what's what in all the papers today. All right. Dementia patient goes missing from hospital. Wow. Okay. Dementia patient goes missing from hospital. This is a lot. The FNM has some information, and there's a real plan for immigration. Real plan for immigration. They got a code here for you to be able to scan. You can be able to scan that code, and I suppose you can be able to get the information from the Free National Movement as they talk about immigration matters, as they indicate that they are working for you and working for the few, right? They're going to be able to do those things. As we continue to talk about what's happening, man, we can see exactly what's what. Bahamians stuck in Dubai as the Prime Minister warns of economic impact of Iran conflict. Let's see if we can be able to read a little taste of this story. Let's see where it goes from there. Explosions echoed across Dubai on Saturday as intercepted missiles lit up the night sky, sending some Bahamians scrambling back to the hotels whilst waiting for their way home. Waiting for a way home after the United States of America and Israel waged war on Iran. This is the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. I promise you I pronounced that wrong. Says that he was killed in a coordinated strikes, triggered missiles and drone relations across the region. I don't know if you're anything like me, but all weekend I've been watching these particular things. There was one hotel that this guy was in, and he was recording the missiles hitting the hotel he was in. What are you thinking, sir? Why did we leave? What are we doing in here? I guess, there is it's almost like a conditioned environment. You've been seeing this for such a long time that this is just a part of what it is. And so a lot of persons are just responding to what they've seen and what it has been for a very long time. Right? So you can be able to see that. It says that much of the Middle Eastern airspace has been since closed, really disturbing the travel and stranding, causing a lot of persons to be stranded, including Bahamian's Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis said yesterday the government is closely monitoring developments and expressed concerns for staff at the Bahamas embassy in Abu Dhabi. And he says that given its proximity to the Israeli embassy, he warns that the conflict could have economic consequences at home. As I always said, this is what the Prime Minister has indicated. Let's go to page 11 and see exactly what's what. Just make sure we can be able to get it. Let's read it. He says, as I always said, the stubborn elephant in our room is the Hold on. Let's read this properly. I'm sure they're missing something on this story. As I always said, the stubborn elephant in our room is the expect, and it's projected that the oil. I don't know. I think there's some things that's missing here. Tribune, there's some things that's missing here. You didn't pick it up properly, because that's not a complete sentence. I don't understand what that is. I'm not going to fight you. Anyway, expect, and it's projected that the oil prices, am I reading this properly? Yeah, there's nothing else here. the prime minister give a quote, and you didn't pick it up. You didn't pick up the quote, right? So it says that expect and it's projected that the oil prices might rise. It said that Mr. Davis told the reporters on Saturday, if that does, then all we can do is try to minimize the impact of our citizens by looking how this could either reveal it through the taxes, relieve it through the taxes, or and that's how we imposed at importation of fuels and giving relief to some others in some other form or fashion. All right, so in Dubai, air operations were suspended as missiles and drones targeted Israel and United States military in Arab Emirates and intercepted hundreds of projected projectiles since the start of the Iranian attack, with the death of Troll rapidly rising. Let's talk about this for a little bit. Let's talk about this for a little taste as I indicate. Now, I want to talk about something. I want to talk to you about something. The United States of America has been focusing on a few things. They've been focusing on Venezuela, main industry, oil. They're not focusing on Iran, main industry, oil. They've actually had their eye on Russia, not necessarily saying that they're going to approach, but the president has indicated that, we like you very much. We're looking to be able to be okay with you and hope that everything is good, you and China, but we want to make sure that you're on the right side of this deal, whatever's happening. I want to talk to you about this, and this is going to be a heavy conversation. Heavy in the sense that we don't necessarily understand, we may not necessarily have all the information, right? But heavy in the sense that there has been a great deal of things that is happening. What I want to do is to find out information as it relates to what's happening with Iran, what's happening with Venezuela, and what's happening with America's push with MAGMA, Make America Great Again, that particular concept and idea. And I'd like to be able to have a conversation with, is this sort of a concept and idea as to whether or not Make America Great Again is being able to ensure that the American dollar stays buoyant. We've recognized most recently that the dollar has dipped, and we've recognized the America's determination to, with this president, President Trump, being able to revive the coaling industry, having significant conversations about being able to ensure that oil is fortified. We need to talk about that and talk about these particular concepts and how that happens. And so I want to talk to you about that. As I look at this conflict has placed us in a peculiar position. Can I say that to you? This conflict has placed the world in a peculiar position. Make America Great Again has done more than just merely being able to be a local campaign, and we're watching it unravel and unfold on a day-to-day basis, and it's affecting the way that we live. So much so that I believe that the normalcy that we've had for a long time, that we've enjoyed, the comforts of being able to be in a particular space for a very long time, are now eroding. And that erosion is not coming few and far between. It's an erosion that can lead to an implosion, similar to mining. Similar to mining, like a coal miners. Yeah. So you chip away, but you never know where the instability exists in this particular rock. And so when you're chipping away, you're hoping that you wouldn't be able to kind of do the wrong thing. And so let's just be very clear about this. Let's be clear about what's happening out here. And the Prime Minister is indicating that our fuel will go up. Now, I think that that's a very peculiar position, because we need to hear more information about Venezuela. Can I say that? We need to hear more information about Venezuela. I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about the fact of the matter that Venezuela in this strategic position and being able to have oil. The United States of America has commandeered that oil. And in the sort of the gathering of this oil have not indicated exactly what they're going to do with this. Let's talk about that and find out exactly where the funds for this is, whether or not these executives from other spaces such as BP, such as ExxonMobil, and other spaces in the oil refining industry, whether or not they've approached formality the president and found out from President Trump or those particular persons in the White House what they're doing to find out whether or not this could be able to bolster up United States of America. This is a lot. This is a lot that's happening, and I would like to be able to talk to you about this. Now, this implication is a very strong implication because some 20 years ago, there was conversations about the possibility of us being able to forge relationship with Gaddafi at that time and being able to ensure that we can be able to get oil in this region, in this space. I think more specifically, we would have been able to see Leslie Miller in that capacity being able to show that this relationship could have been able to be more fruitful if we had done strategic things. Those things I don't believe has ever happened. And now with the acquisition, of this particular space, this entity, this oil out of Venezuela, one of the largest producers of oil in the world, America now controls this. America now controls this. And so if we're sitting in this position, we need to figure out, what is this going to be? What does this look like for us here in the Bahamas? What does this look like in terms of us going forward? I'd like to know that. All right, let's talk about these particular things. I got some information. So it says, conflict of war markets and economic impact, current situation. Recent, the United States of America, Israel military actions against Iran have escalated into a broader conflict, and have disturbed critical oil shipping through the strain of Hamas, right? And says through which roughly 20% of the world's oil supply normally transits. And this has caused oil prices to surge sharply and increase global economic uncertainty. Now, that information is coming directly from Reuters, and they've been able to tell us about those particular things. The oil and gas prices surges as the escalation of the conflict between Iran and the United States of America, U.S.-Israel coalition has disturbed all these particular regions. Let's talk about this. It says, at times, Brent crude oil prices jumped towards levels seen earlier this year and could go above $100 per barrel. If disruptions persist, oil prices spikes typically feed in inflationary pressures, which affect consumer prices like gasoline and can slow growth. This is some information that we're seeing. Financial markets have reacted with volatility, and they indicated that stocks have dipped while safe haven assets such as gold, U.S. treasuries, and the U.S. dollar have strengthened. This is peculiar. This is peculiar. Make America Great Again is more than just a local campaign. I keep saying this to y'all. This is a big campaign. China has done a great deal of being able to assert itself from a global standpoint. Not necessarily with this sort of bravado and this determination to indicate that we're China, we have money, you should be able to listen to us. They've presented themselves capable. They've presented themselves insightful. They've presented themselves studied every single time they go. And they've presented themselves as a friend, never a foe, to the region that they seek to be able to befriend. So they come to Jamaica, not with sort of an idea that you want our money, but with the reciprocity that you're looking for. And they say, hey, listen, take a loan from us. We give you what you're looking for infrastructural development. And over the course of time, you only have to pay 2% on the money that we lend you. Whatever money that we lend you, you only have to pay 2%. Don't worry about it. We give you whatever you're looking for. They did an entire Belt and Road project. They're looking throughout the entire Caribbean to be able to assist. And as America being able to fortify themselves, not under the Democrats, but under the Republicans recognizing the importance of being able to find themselves back in the position, Trump comes in and Trump say, hey, listen, let's make America great again. Now, us as naive observers as just participants in sort of the observation of global politics. Just looking at this was, oh, this is nice. Make America Great Again. This is a local campaign, not knowing that this will affect the entire world. And we should have been able to think beyond our noses in this particular concept, because the truth of the matter is that America has never been a local jurisdiction. Their influence is world over. And Make America Great Again cannot mean the internal perception and the infrastructural position and the way that we commune internally. Make America Great Again must be able to fortify its position and a global perception and position and the way that people genuflect to the name of the United States of America. Over the years, that has diminished significantly. That's sort of a concept and idea that America has been and has the strength to be able to move forward has diminished significantly. Talk to me. I just want to be very clear with you. Very clear. Let's talk about this. This idea that America has its strength and the wherewithal to be able to do a great deal of things have diminished significantly over the years. And as a result of this sort of erosion and this diminishing concept and idea of America, Trump has done what no other president has done. Now, let's be very clear. I think the Democrats sought to be able to get to peace, to resolution for growth and development through discourse. From a superficial standpoint, from a surface standpoint, from a commercial standpoint, from a media standpoint, the Democrats sought to deal with some of the same issues that Trump is really being able to deal with head on. They sought to deal with that through diplomacy. And this is not diplomatic. The approach that Donald Trump is taking, there is no diplomacy involved. There is power. And there is the assertion of power. There is the crushing of the might that exists within America, the 340-some million people that exist in that space. There is a level of power that exists there with their access to weaponry, their training, their skill set, their passion and pride for eradication is now being able to be presented once again. This hasn't existed for a very long time within our generation. Whether or not we're talking about the Gulf War, whether or not we're talking about small wars and the indifference that exists in this particular space. Just before us, you would have been able to see the USSR and America's position associated with that. We've seen modifications to these particular things. We saw America's influence for a great deal of these particular global issues present itself on the sideline as not necessarily a referee, but a coach. And indicating as a coach that, hey, listen, this is what we want from you. Talk to me. Now we are waking up and we're watching news story after news story after. Listen, this wouldn't stop. It would not stop. It would not stop. And as we're identifying this, we don't know what to make of this. What does this mean for all of us? What does this mean for the Bahamas? Let's listen a little bit to Donald Trump.
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, All over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now, again, the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons that would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago.
That's it. I'm going to be able to take, it's only about 2 more minutes left in that, but I don't think you want to be able to hear the entire thing. But I think you get the gist of it. America has resolved, and its leadership has resolved, that this is not going to be a comfortable thing, but it is a necessary evil. And even with the possibility of being able to see some persons that have passed away, this is the ultimate sacrifice. The sacrifice of being able to die for country in battle, and the honor associated with that particular sacrifice. I don't know if that translates to anything for the families that are left behind. I don't know whether or not America has had a contingent to ensure that, outside of the formality of persons that fall away, from an insurance standpoint, the question that I have, is whether or not there is this value associated with this. Let's talk about this. Donald Trump, even in his pronouncements, to be able to talk about Ayatollah and how Ayatollah's eradication, his death, the implications that could mean. Ayatollah has passed away, and Iran is still pushing. They're still fighting. They're still fighting back. And so whatever contingency, I just listened to a podcast this morning, and they indicated that they have been preparing. This is a rich state, financially endowed state, and they have the wherewithal to do this. They have over 200,000 missiles. Over 200,000 missiles. And like Trump has stated, they have cultivated a mindset of rebellion among its people. Not just general rebellion, but rebellion against a particular religion, anything that actually is anti our position. We're going to be fighting against that. And I believe, as a result of these particular things, and we look over to the United States of America, that this is, they've only just begun. They've only just begun. I think all of us have to be able to strap in for a bumpy ride. And this indication could be able to mean a great deal of things are increasing. The PLP locally have just kind of reduced the prices on our food from a VAT standpoint, from a tax standpoint. But now this can be able to increase it once more. Because to get fuel from China, to get fuel from around the world, to get it here, the fuel is increased. Everything. This is a trickle effect. This is economic trickle effect. If they got to pay for more fuel with the boat, then the boat people ain't going to pick up that. They ain't going to take from their profits and being able to pay for that. So they can transfer that to the shippers. Those persons who are actually shipping and who are developing the products and whatnot, and they can be able to increase the value. They can say, listen, if you ship in, what was initially $2,000 a container is now $2,700. That $700 will continue to be able to find its way to you. That increase will continue to find its way to you. I don't believe that there will be there will be a halt in this sort of a global shipping imposition. I don't believe that there will be a halt. But I can tell you one thing. That's going to increase. Somebody talk to me. That's going to increase. And it's going to be a hard thing. Because we yet in the midst of having a local conversation about the fact that we haven't gotten our increases. We're still looking for living wages. We're still looking for opportunities. And I don't know whether or not this will translate to the rest of the Liberal Party's position and push for the general election. This may cause the election to be even earlier than anticipated. Can I say this? Can we talk like this? Is it okay? Can we talk like this? Yeah, let's just talk mathematically. As a result of this global push, if this war lasts another week, let's just say that. If this war goes on for the rest of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if this war continues for the next 7 days, the Prime Minister and his cabinet will have to make a determination as to whether or not they're going to pull up. But more specifically, the Prime Minister will have to make a determination that whatever idea he had in his mind as it relates to when the next general election would be, he will have to pull that up just a bit. Let me tell you why. And this is my assessment. The Prime Minister and the Progressive Liberal Party cannot risk a social fallout because war that is literally worlds away. It's having an immediate and local effect on how things are happening, and no one is glued to CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, or Al Jazeera, or wherever else. No one is glued to world news enough locally. Well, I can't say no one. I can say that the masses are not glued to world news and its implications on local events significantly enough that they can be able to give grace to this administration and say to this administration, well, we understand there's some things happening elsewhere. This ain't really your fault, and we won't hold it against you. It will be held against you because it's just politics. That's just the nature of politics in this country. And how politics works in this country is that we need to be able to find ourselves in a better position. And the only person that we believe stands between us and that better position for growth and development is government leadership. Now, either they usher us in and assist us with being able to find this better place, or we perceive them as obstructing us from getting to that better place. And if they are an obstruction, we need to eradicate this proverbial wall. That's what's happening. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening here. Call me up, 827-0111. Text me. Let me know if you think the same. That's what's happening here. What's happening here is that the PLP will have to make a determination as to whether or not they go to an early election. If we're coming out of Lent on April 2nd, the PLP will have to go to a general election in the second week of April. No later than the second week. If this war persists. Why? They do not have the social grace and the fortified position that they could take people, Jesus Christ, gas is $6.50 a gallon. They cannot take the FNM turning that on them. They cannot take the COI turning it on them. They cannot take that. And as a result of being able to identify that, they must make a determination as to whether or not we go to an early election. Now, this is, I don't believe that this was what their anticipation was, but they're going to have to be able to fortify their campaign, use the finances they have. They do not, if the prime minister is indicating, let's just read a little taste of this. If the prime minister indicates, if that does, then all we can do is to minimize the impact on our citizens by looking how we could either relieve it through the taxes. That is how we imposed it on importation of fuel and or giving relief in some other form or fashion. Okay? The Prime Minister is already anticipating that we need to be able to relieve our citizens of these particular things. While the Prime Minister is in his position trying to be able to relieve its citizens of relentless and perpetual gas hikes as a result of the pipeline where 20% of the world oil kind of flows through, that being stuck, the Prime Minister has to simultaneously think of how we're going to spend the finances to ensure that all 41 constituencies are shown enough love, acknowledgement, and we can bolster an activity to make you to understand that this is where progress lives. This is a challenging thing. This is challenging. And this has significant implications. Mia Mottley didn't have to deal with this. Andrew Holdings didn't have to deal with this. And if our Prime Minister it could become detrimental. Because if this war goes into 2 weeks, oh God, that's it. If you give them 2 weeks, I'm talking about the FNM and the PLP, if you give them 2 weeks to formalize, fortify a campaign and hit it with you every day, the conditioning, let's just do this, okay? Jesus, we get in here, we get in today. Let me take off all my things. Let's do this today. Let's do this, okay? It takes the average human brain 21 days to create a habit. It takes the average human brain 21 days to create a habit. It takes the average human being and brain 90 days to create a lifestyle. In the news cycle, if there is repetition that exists beyond a particular threshold and a mark, there is a conditioning that happens in the brain. Now, it may not happen to all of us, but all of us don't matter. What matter is the most of us, the majority of us. And the majority of us sit in this kind of a position where we're susceptible to these things. You haven't done enough to be able to ensure that you train your brain to reject certain aspects of things. You just haven't. There's a great deal of us. It's just don't fight me on it. You haven't done enough to train your brain against the conditionings and the wiles of the media. You haven't done. The conditioning, the fine tuning, the calculated thought that you believe that you're having this independent thought, this is already planted in your head. Okay? If the PLP waits 14 days, because I think it started over the weekend. Let's say it started last week, right? If the PLP waits 14 days for this to happen, this could cause the implosion of whatever campaign that they had designed. And this could be the proverbial momentum that the Free National Movement needed to be able to get their legs under them again. They don't need a vision. All they need is a significant opposition to identify and fight against them. The PLP will have to make a decision very, very soon, very quickly. They're going to have to do that. If you wait 21 days and the COI and the COI, independents, and the FNM take on this position to identify to the masses now, this ain't lying, but this is manipulation. Let's just call it that. This is what it is. They're not lying that there are issues that exist in our society, but they will manipulate you and make you feel like this issue is caused by the Progressive Liberal Party. This government is in play, and gases have gone up to $7.25 a gallon. This is unheard of, and it's a difficult time to live in the Bahamas right now. We need to change leadership. They didn't say the PLP caused it or didn't cause it. They're trying to make you to understand and correlate the gas price increase with the leadership that exists in this place. So it is manipulation. Political organizations would manipulate your mind and trigger the conditioning that you're used to put you in a position to go contrary to the PLP. The PLP needs to make a decision now. This ain't gonna be easy. This ain't gonna be an easy thing. This ain't gonna be easy. They don't have much time. They have 2 more days to watch this determination. 2 more days. They have 2 more days. Easter is April 5th, yeah. Today is April 1st, March 2nd. Today is March 2nd. The PLP has until the end of the week. I wouldn't even give them Friday. I'd give them Thursday. The PLP has until Thursday to make a determination that didn't necessarily need to be articulated to the Bahamian people. But they have until Thursday. Today is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they have until March 5th to determine whether or not they're going to go to an early election. Earlier than anticipated. A great deal of us expected the election to be in May, around the first week of May. Okay? A lot of us never expected this sort of a position in April. Our expectation is the next time after the break and the House of Assembly convenes and find themselves back in this particular space, that we would have heard from our Prime Minister that the election date. Okay? And we would have known then the dissolution of the House of Assembly and boom, 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 boom. How the House of Assembly would have been dissolved and so forth and so on. We would have known that. Let's just be clear about this, okay? Let's be clear about this. This has sped up a great deal of things. Yeah, because you don't want to be in the midst of campaigning, and while you're in the midst of campaigning, gas prices soaring. No, that's too hard. You don't want to be in the midst of campaigning and all that you would have done to ensure that the taxes are lowered, and for the average Bahamian working class person that can be able to go into the grocery stores to be able to purchase meals, the food, so forth and so on, that they can access these particular things. You've done everything that you can possibly do within the confines of the strength that exists within government without being able to be intrusive on an external market, a private entity. You've done everything that you could do. You've created the price app. You've reduced it 5%. You've done everything that you could do. Your fee that you're in every morning. This government has done everything that it can do from a social standpoint to ensure that its people can be fed and have access to food. Praise Jesus. You did well. I'm not going to fight you. But all of that will be a swift undoing in the next 2.5 weeks in the event that this war goes on another few days. I guarantee you. Even if the war don't last a month, it will have significant implications over the next 3 months. The government doesn't have the resources to be, unless it's empowering its people through your apps, through these particular entities, to be able to ensure that we could be able to police these organizations and these groupings, such as the convenience stores, the food stores, so forth and so on. Yeah, you're going to have a difficult time. If it increases, and we got to go to Little Generals and pay an increased price. We got to go to Super Value to pay an increased price. We got to go to John's to pay an increased price. We got to go to Costrite to pay an increased price. We pay an increased prices everywhere. And global prices shift in the midst of this over the course of the next month. So the prices increase, then local prices increase simultaneously. And then the war comes to an end, they find stability over the next 3 weeks, and then, supply chains shift their prices, and it gets back to this perceived normalcy. That's not going to happen locally right away. They're enjoying the increase. And simultaneously, that will bleed into your campaign. It will bleed into your campaign. This is a lot. This is a lot. Easter's the 5th. I think election will be later in April or May. But with the war, yeah, they may need to go straight into it for real. Yeah, the Free National Movement would ride this until the wheels fall off and say it's the PLP's fault. Things are going up. The Prime Minister was smart in being able to run ahead of this. He was smart, man. He was smart in being able to run ahead of this and saying, hey, listen, there's going to be some increase. There's an elephant in the room here. There's some issues here. There's going to be some trials and tribulations. There's some stuff that we're going to be wrestling with. Hey, listen, let's get ourselves prepared for this. All of that preparation is great, Prime Minister. You did wonderful. Insightful, understanding. You did what you have to do in your particular position, but that ain't gonna change the average man who ain't thinking. The only thing they thinking, they can't even hear you. They don't even go nowhere to hear you. They just go on social media and all these other places to laugh whilst they drinking something, not in a bad way, to laugh when they get off from work, not in a bad way. The Prime Minister, they ain't coming to look for you. Prime Minister, I love you. I can be honest with you. But these people in this Bahama land right now, they are consumed. They are enamored, engulfed, taken over, swallowed up by the idea of the comforts that exist to and for them. That's it. To and for them. That's it. Ain't nobody want to hear that. Nobody want to talk like this. The people in this country are consumed with what is satisfying them. That's it. That's it. Anything that seeks to be able to step in my timeline outside of my comfort is intrusion. The concept and idea that I have to be able to pay an increase because of what's happening from an external standpoint, you don't have enough resources and you don't have enough time to explain to the Bahamian people, this is the economic trickle effect of war. You have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. It's going to have to be a quick decision. We're getting a general election. We got to do it. Whatever good graces, mercies, favor that you would have received by the Bahamian people, whatever proposition that the Bahamian people have given you, whatever you've been able to retain in terms of goodwill for, towards, and there's reciprocity with the Bahamian people for this administration, whatever that exists, whatever favor that you are fueled by as an administration, not saying that people, you're not hearing people hate Brave and Brave got to go. Whatever those things is, it will take a 180 turn swiftly if people see an increase in anything. This ain't your fault. This is not your fault. This is not your fault. I agree with you. This is not your fault. This is not your fault, Prime Minister. This is not your fault. This is not your fault. This is not your fault. And ain't nothing I hate worse than having to pay for somebody else's issues. You're going to have some casualties of war. You're going to have some casualties. You're going to have some casualties, Prime Minister. You're going to lose some soldiers that you thought you had covered. You're going to have some casualties. Because of this kind of a swift approach, a lot of your candidates may not necessarily be ready. They're still pacing themselves. I'm seeing some headquarters get open. I'm seeing some people get done. A lot of persons are just not prepared. I'm still hearing some voice notes about people who haven't seen some people, and certain constituencies are popping up. A lot of persons are just not prepared. They're just not prepared. They're just not prepared. You're going to have some casualties of war. Now, I don't know whether or not this could be able to mean that you're going to be able to stick it out and still be able to retain 22 seats, 23 seats, but this is going to be a dogfight. Especially if the FNM can sniff there is a level of fear and this need to expedite this quickly. If the FNM perceive that exists in the air, they're going to take advantage of that. The Free National Movement's donors have not come out as yet. They just haven't. Whoever those particular donors are, historically has been viewed and known to be the Bay Street Boys or whatever the white oligarchs that exist in these particular spaces. People normally associate them with the UBP, whoever these people are, and the association thereof. They have not started spending money for the Free National Movement just yet. However, their money is spent strategically and in a concentrated space. They don't spend it over the course of time. You don't never feel the effect of it. They take their time and they identify a stretch. 3 to 4 weeks, that's it. And they concentrate the time and they continue to be able to hit you with the rhythm and the conditioning. It's just 21 days. That's all you need. You just need 21 days. I just told you this. You only need 21 days. The human mind and the conditioning only takes you 21 days to shift the thinking and create a habit in the human mind. 21 days, if the Free National Movement hits a campaign every day for 21 days before the general election, that could change the entire momentum of the concept. You don't have to keep spending money on everything. No, nobody ended up. 21 days before the general election. You hear me? 21 days before the general election. And what you got? You got party, you got excitement. You always have some place to go over the next 21 days. You've created a family, an environment, conversation. You bring the right people out. Finances are moving. Things are happening. A couple people get taken care of. Some things are moving strategically. Within that 3-week period, that could change the game for good. Be sharp. Be sharp. If I was you, BLP, it's just me. This is Howard. Y'all don't get in my business. I just saying to you. If I was you, I would call an election right now. April 7th. Let's see. Which day is April 7th? I think constitutionally you need the constitutional position associated with being able to call a general election. We can find that out. Let's find that out. I'm looking for this thing in the calendar. Okay, here we go. Easter Monday is the 6th. The 7th, I would call it on May 10th. April 10th. This is Howard Grant. I would call the general election from right now on April 10th. April 10th, 2000, it's a Friday. April 10th, 2026. I will call the general election. This is Howard. I will call the general election. Who in, who ain't in, that's your business. April 10th. It's me. And the reason I would call it during that particular time is because I can be the F&M at their own game. They think that this kind of a concentrated thing, no, we can show them how it's done. We can keep the ground game, we can keep it tight, and we can be able to concentrate these particular areas. Prime Minister, you can be tired. You're going to have to be able to you can go into bed late and you're waking up early. You can be tired. And these these ministers, a lot of them need you. A lot of them need you to show up with them. A lot of them need you to hold their hand in their constituencies because they have lost, the constituency has lost faith in them. You're going to have to make a determination as to who hand you can hold because you don't have time to be able to hold everybody's hand. You just don't. You just don't. You can't go to every constituency and hold every hand. You just can't. You can't. If these people can't look at the candidate and identify that he or she has the wherewithal, has the relationship, has the insight, and could be able to give us what we're looking for as a constituency, if they don't believe the candidate, you know, God bless you until I see you again. That's it. That's it. I wouldn't waste time. This war is going to change everything. Everything. See, it wasn't so bad with Venezuela and what was happening with Maduro. It wasn't so horrible when you saw what happened with Mencho in Mexico. It wasn't so horrible when you identify those particular things. But now being able to deal with Iran, now airspace being closed, now oil channels being backed up, now the reconfiguration and reassessing of how oil is distributed and the acquisition of that particular oil to one entity and that entity making a determination how they're going to be able to distribute this, who should get it, when they should get these particular things, and then being able to almost re-establish yourself and become familiar again with a process that was working for you for a very long time, for decades. Now you're going to have to be able to reassess how these things are going. This is going to be crazy. Crazy. You hear me? Crazy. Crazy. All the best to all those particular persons that are doing this. All the best to the Bahamas government. All the best to the PLP. All the best to the Free National Movement, the Coalition of Independent. All the best to all of you that are taking on this particular challenge. I'm hoping that your war rooms are intact and you're understanding these, not just from a superficial, egotistical, feelings perspective about the tradition of politics in our country, but you're using geopolitics to understand how to be able to fortify your campaign or how to be able to strategize in your approach. I'm hoping you're looking at the greater perspective and how things are happening in this country as opposed to how things have happened in this country and what your expectations is in this election in comparison to what you would have seen in last election. That ain't gonna be the same thing, baby. Let's just shoot straight. That ain't gonna be the same thing. 192,000 or 190-some thousand persons are registered to vote in the Bahamas now. In the Bahamas now. Malcolm Strong writes a story, an insight, the story behind news, the stories behind the news in the Tribune being able to talk about this. Malcolm Strong talks about the world woke up to a war on Saturday, and the United States of America, Israel launched an attack on Iran, and Iran in turn launched a retaliation attack on Qatar and Bahrain and Jordan and Kuwait. And targets hit included the Fairmont, the Palm Hotel in Dubai, as well as injuries in an incident in Dubai International Airport. 300 British troops were within 200 meters of an Iranian missile and a drone strike on a missile Navy base in Bahrain and the U.S. naval base in Bahrain, showing how high the risk of even greater escalation may be. The explanation of why the strikes happen now was the slim at best for the United States of America President Donald Trump, saying that there were imminent threats without spelling out what those were in detail. It stands in considerable contrast to another war that has been subject to question over the years. The Iraq War, not less of all for Trump himself. Let's see if we can be able to get to the meat and potatoes of these things. He just gave us the background. Let's talk about these things. Questions are also being raised internationally about what this will do for oil prices, meaning you and I might end up paying more for our power bills in the long run. This is going to be hard. Jesus, this is going to be hard. And then he goes on and says the comparison with the Iraq and the inevitability also invites the contrast with how the case for war was laid out. Back then, it looks like nearly 2 years of administrations of the then President George Bush to build up to the war itself. In 2001, the administration started to build up to those efforts, leading to the Iraq resolution passed by the U.S. Congress in 2022 with the intent to disarm Iraq weapons for mass destruction and to end Saddam Hussein's support for terrorism and to free Iraqi people. Though in 2003, the U.S. kept building its case, including famous address and Secretary of State Colin Powell to the Security Council, joined by the UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, in laying out the case, including in a dossier in the UK that came to be known as the Dodgy Dossier. Let's talk about these things, guys. This is going to be a lot. This is going to be a lot. The implications of war is far-reaching. It reaches in right down to your clothes, right down to your travel, right down to your plane ticket. Right, it reaches deep down into your economic purse and touches everything, including your savings. The PLP cannot bear the blow of that. Minnis was the recipient of the blow of COVID-19. He wasn't the cause of COVID-19. He didn't call for anybody in Wuhan, China. He didn't do that. You understand? He wasn't a part of the lab that got this particular thing out. He wasn't there. He wasn't there. Let's just shoot straight and be very clear with this. But he took a tremendous amount of cut behind. Tremendous as a result of what existed in our society. And our insatiable desire to be able to throw a rock at somebody, Minnis was the number one target. Minnis was the number one target. And as a result of him being a target, they had to take him out. So I pray for you guys. I know that you want to talk a little bit more about some stuff. I pray for you guys. Lying beneath the fade. Jesus, Lord Almighty, what's going on here? Sabas holds a poster of his book, The Lion Beneath the Fade, during a recent book signing event. The book is now listed on the United States of America, USA Today, LA Times, and Amazon bestseller. Lion Beneath the Fade. That is crazy. PM opens $2.1 million Maguana Airport, tied to 2,000 jobs, and the Seaport projects. That is an amazing thing. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Sebastian and the new memoirs archives U.S. bestseller status. Congratulations to you. Former Grand Lucayan employees collect final severance pay, which is a good thing. See, every time the PLP make one good move, mother's sick. They get blown, you get punched again. This is a lot. Minnis thanks Monroe for slamming FNM's ingratitude in Parliament. I heard a lot of ingratitude over the weekend about who let who stay in who apartment and who was letting who drive who car. This is too much. I ain't say who. But if you get the emails and the voice notes and this and that the same way I get it, this is too much. This is becoming petty. Alarming 26 child sex cases lodged in Bahamas Crisis Center. This is some information that's coming now. Social Services Minister Miles LaRota gives brief remarks on the Women's Empowerment Symposium held at the Bahamas Harvest Church on Friday. So you guys, hopefully you check that out and see exactly what's what. Let's see what else is in here. Biometric voters card rollout begins amid push to modernize registration. So, we're waiting for that, waiting for persons to be able to tell us exactly what's what. World on terror alert as Iran vows revenge. Vows revenge. That man come on the TV and cry that the leader is dead. 46 years of leadership. Indifference. The contrast that exists socially that says that he was a horrible, manipulative, iron fist leader that was dragging us down into nothing, and then there's the other hand that says he's benevolent in a sense. So that kind of a social contrast that exists in there is a very strong thing. A very strong thing. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about these particular things. Government bracing for fallout from the war. Oil prices, fears from U.S. Israeli strikes on Iran. Travel advisory issued. And that coupled with this kind of a pressed on Grand Lucayan, the Prime Minister says that developments don't happen overnight. That's why we never call it done until it's done. That's why you never call it done until it's done. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be difficult. I am really hoping and praying for the best for you. I might as well tell you the truth. I'm really hoping and praying for the absolute best for you. I really am. I really am hoping and praying for the absolute best for you. You Airport Terminal Commission on marijuana. We saw that. Bell rejects the unfounded claims regarding the government land on Papal Track. And we're seeing that. A lot of things are happening. The development is ongoing, is going on. You'll be able to see that. I passed this thing going home yesterday, the wine fest. Another major barrier, and the lack of trust in systems as it relates to violence that was happening. Middle East unrest could drive cost of living higher. Yeah, I'd love to be able to have a further conversation with someone from an economic standpoint to talk about the possibility of what this means and what could be our expectation from a governmental standpoint as it relates to preparation for the possible fallout from the war. Let's talk about it. I want to thank you guys for being able to tune in with us. We got to be able to cut the show short today. I know you want to be able to have your full 2 hours and dive into those particular things, but today I got to cut it short because we got a couple of things that we got to be able to get done. And I want to thank you so very kindly for that. Now, you can pick me up tonight on The Rundown on ZNS. You can be able to pick me up tonight on The Rundown as we continue to have this kind of an economic conversation and identify those particular things. And that's one of the reasons why I got to be able to kind of hold up, because we got to get some things done for that. All right. I want to thank you so very kindly, guys, for tuning in with us. Today is the foundation. We're here. We say to the PLP, this is not going to be easy, but it's a necessary thing that needs to be done for you as an administration to identify what needs to happen going forward as we brace ourselves for the inevitable fallout of a prolonged war that's happening in the Middle East. Let's talk about these things, guys. I'm Howard Grant. I want to thank you so very kindly for being able to be here with me. We're going to see you again tomorrow. God spare our lives right here on The Foundation. Have a great day, guys.
I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahama land to the foundation.